Today I'm going to talk about the Mexican plum, which despite not having one is one of my favorite trees. I just love it. I actually can't wait to get one into my yard soon. So the Mexican plum, its scientific name is Prunus mexicana. The genus name, Prunus, is the ancient classical name for plum. The species name refers to the tree's distribution in the Southwest. It is sometimes called the big tree plum because it is tree-like and it does not form suckers and it doesn't form thickets like other native plums. The Mexican plum is a perennial and it belongs to the rose family. It grows to about 25 feet, but can range anywhere from 15 to 35 feet. It has an irregular open crown, and the bark is gray to black. And what's interesting about this is when it's a younger tree, it has these exfoliating plate-like scales, but as it grows older, the bark, it becomes deeply furrowed as it ages, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, the flowers are fragrant. They are white. They are about 3/4 to 1 inch in diameter. It is 5 petals. And the flowers grow in a loose umbel of 2 to 4 flowers. So the flowers bloom in February, March, and April, and they do so before the leaves appear, like the red bud. And the flowers, of course, are an important nectar source for our native bees, and they attract pollinators such as butterflies and moths. The leaves are alternate, simple, and they're actually quite large for a plum. So they grow about 2 to 3 inches wide and up to 4 to 5 inches long. And it is deciduous. The fruit is small with a juicy flesh, and it is edible. It can be eaten raw, dried, made into jams and jellies, which is a popular way to prepare it. And according to Foraging Texas, it can also be made into wine and brandy. The fruit, or drupe as it's called, changes color from yellow to purple as it ripens. And that happens July through September. And I took this photo today, and you can see that it is still green, so it hasn't started changing color. For wildlife, birds and small mammals do eat the fruit. So how can you use it? It is used as an ornamental in landscaping. It can be used as an accent tree or a shrub. It will take full sun to part shade. Water usage is low, which is nice. In soil conditions are dry to moist, well-drained soils. It can grow in a variety of types of soils, so anywhere from sandy to sandy loam, clay, and pretty much anything in between. It is a slow-growing tree, and it can fit into tight spaces in your yard, so it's pretty good in that regard. It is also cold tolerant, it is drought resistant, and easy to grow. The Mexican plum ranges from Texas and Louisiana, Arkansas and Oklahoma, all the way north to Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, and it's starting to get into Illinois and Indiana. It is usually found growing along the edges of woods and in thin woods. It grows along river bottoms and well-drained prairies. Here are some fun facts that I actually learned as I was researching this. The fruit usually has a white coating, and that white coating is a wild yeast. which can actually be used to make a sourdough starter, which I thought was pretty interesting. And Foraging Texas has a recipe for that, so you can Google that if you're interested in making some sourdough. Another thing is because of its drought resistance and cold tolerance, the Mexican plum is used as stock for the grafting of cultivated varieties of plum. It is also a larval host for the tiger swallowtail and the Cecropia moths, which are the largest moths in North America. So that's pretty cool. And then for propagation, it can be propagated from cuttings or seeds, semi-hardwood and softwood cuttings taken in the summertime root best. And the seed propagation is quite involved, so I won't go over that here, but you can find that information online. And that is what I have for the Mexican plum.